21 P 1597. One Energy Development LLC's second amended petition to construct a solar energy system in Franklin Grove Township. If somehow you've lost the information and are equally somehow listening to me otherwise than on Zoom and have forgotten the Zoom keys, the meeting ID is 915-3923-9154. The password is, as always, 209840. As to YouTube, on your computer or cell phone, use your browser, go to www.youtube.com. In the search bar, type Lee County Ill Zoning Board of Appeals. Don't worry about upper or lowercase letters. Find the session date you want, presumably this evening, October 12th, and you should be seeing and hearing us then. If you need technical assistance with any of this, feel free to call Zoning Officer Duffy's Technical Assistance Hotline, 815-973-3449. I know the presence in this after the recess of Chairman of the Board, Bruce Forster, Vice Chair Craig Burrow, Mr. Pratt's present, Mr. Hughes is present, Mr. Meyer is present, the Honorable Charles Boonstra is present on behalf of Lee County, Courtney Kennedy's here representing the petitioner, Jonathan, our savior from last week, Lee County IT is here, Kelly's here, and myself. That makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 13 necessaries in the room. I see no interested parties. So that makes a total of 13 in the hearing room. Anybody on Zoom yet, Jonathan? Okay. Well, we have some interested parties appearing now. 2 interested parties have just entered the courtroom. Mr. Hauk, you were on the witness stand. So if you retake the stand, please. I'll swear you in again. Solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I do. All right. As I recall, Ms. Kennedy, you had completed your examination of Mr. Hauk. And now it's time for cross-examination. I think we went through the board, Ms. Duffy, Mr. Boonstra, Ms. Hinkle. Any interested parties have questions of Mr. Hauk? Okay. If you'll, actually, can you hand him that microphone or give him another one, D? Thank you. Then you should be able to speak from there. Unlike our last set of microphones, you have to get real close, but you do have to get somewhat close.
Okay.
Let's start with your name.
My name is Aaron Baker.
And is it double A, Aaron?
Yes, 2 A's.
And with regard to the proposed development, where do you live, work, or own a business near it?
I live near it.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Questions of Mr. Hauk? It's your opportunity.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. And thank you for everyone for coming out tonight. This has been a long
That's a statement. Just questions.
Questions. Okay. When you stated that you'd have an EchoCat done. Oh, that's a question. What address? Can I have address clarification for the EchoCat?
Yeah, the EchoCat is a tool online where you enter in a latitude and longitude and identify the project parcel. The parcel we identified is the one we're seeking a special use permit for tonight. that address does not have a street parcel, and so it auto-populated to the nearest street parcel, which is yours.
And I believe, did you say you will have a renewed EchoCat or?
Yep, that's correct. Yep, our current EchoCat was issued in 2018 when we first permitted the project. And as part of the permit hearing tonight, we're committing to renewing that permit or for the EchoCat prior to building permit for the project.
Okay, so there are, since I know in the last 2 years, there have been 2 endangered or threatened species.
That's a statement. You're not under oath.
I'm sorry.
This is the time for questions.
Okay. If there was, how would it be mediated if there was? Is that a question?
Yep.
How would it be mediated if there was?
Yeah.
Endangered.
So the report that we had in 2018 didn't identify any threatened or endangered species nor habitats on the entire project parcel, which is the 112-acre parcel, and our 30-acre project area. If when we update that EchoCat and any endangered or threatened species is identified, which we don't anticipate to happen, but let's say it does, we would work with the DNR to place the project at a location, survey the habitat that is identified in the database, and avoid any overlap with the project development area.
Could you give me a clarification on the lease years? Is it 10 then, or is it?
Yep. Yeah.
Just trying to ask, he can only answer one question at a time.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So the option agreement that we have with the Sollenberger family, once we go to construction, that would start a 26-year operation term. That term is 26 years because when we signed that agreement, that's what the panels were warranted at by the manufacturer. Since we've signed that agreement, a lot of the manufacturer warranties have actually bumped that up to 30 years as a manufacturer warranty. So if a panel were to break or malfunction during that life, it would get replaced by the manufacturer.
Let's just stick to this question.
Oh, sure. Okay. So it would be a 26-year term with a 10-year extension if the project is still in operational order.
So a total of
36 total years, potentially.
And if, or according to the ordinance, I believe you said that you would do a glare study?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and we entered that as an exhibit at the last hearing.
Okay. Okay, so is it a private, is it a privately held or a private equity firm?
One Energy is a privately held company, so it's not traded on the public stock market. That means we have shareholders that hold private shares and they own One Energy as a company. I could elaborate on that point.
Just wait for a question,
Okay,
please.
sorry.
Let's not make this a roundtable. You ask the questions, you answer the question.
I was wondering if it was, if so, according to everything I heard, that you will abide by the ordinances, and
Is that a question?
that's a question, right?
Yes.
Correct. The
Yep.
ordinance is for the recent 07-21-004.
Yes, we will abide all Lee County and state and federal ordinances and regulations relevant to the project.
Okay. Um, um, how, how do we know that the money is going to the schools? Is that a question? It says.
That's a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the project would be taxed based on the megawatt generation, which is per state law. That tax would go to Lee County, and then where that tax revenue would go would be out of the hands of the applicant.
Okay. Was, can I just, was it your decision to send this envelope before the last hearing?
Well, I appreciate what you're
Oh.
doing, but you can't just hold something up. If you want him to examine something, let's mark it
Okay, as an
and we'll go
exhibit?
from there.
Okay,
Sure.
okay, I'll do that then. Should I mark it as exhibit?
If you want him to look at something, yes.
Okay.
Well, why don't you, on the envelope, why don't you write IP,
Okay.
uppercase I, uppercase P, number 1. And you can come on up here and hand it to him. Go ahead. Now, if you got questions, go ahead and ask. Except you're going to need the mic for everybody to hear you. You're right. You're right.
Thank you. Thank you. Is that the, per ordinance, the first mail?
Well, let me help you out here. Just saying is that doesn't.
Okay.
She's taking everything down.
Yes,
Here,
I'm
let me help you out.
Thank you.
Mr. Hauk, looking at what's been marked as exhibit number 1, what is that?
This is the letter we sent out to inform members of the community that we'll be having a community meeting at the Franklin Globe Public Library on Tuesday, August 23rd from 10 a.m. to noon.
And who is the we you refer to as sending it out?
One Energy Development, LLC.
Okay. Thank you.
No, it's not yours any longer. Now it's going to be an exhibit in this. So, yeah. We'll get you a copy.
Thank you. So can I clarify, or no, it was, under that, were per ordinances, were the residents informed of rights that they may have had?
We informed, per the ordinance, informed everyone who was identified by the Lee County GIS Department of notice of the public hearing.
And that's within 1,000 feet, I believe.
Yep, that's correct.
Question regarding the well water, or regarding the
Just ask the question. Just go right ahead and ask it.
Okay. The equipment that's used to put the,
The piles.
yeah,
Yep.
does that, like, is there vibration, or if it is, how much is felt? Or,
Yeah. So the
Within a-
piece of equipment is called a Goliath SP30. And so it looks a lot like an ATV machine that has a rig attached to the back of it. And that rig holds the pile, puts it in place, and then drives it into the ground. While driving it into the ground, it does cause a noise because it's hitting a steel pile into the earth. That construction period we commit to only during normal business hours. But yeah, it does cause, that is the noisiest part of the construction process, is putting those piles into the earth.
does it cause vibrations?
No vibrations felt outside of the impact area. You know, it's pounding the steel pile, which is a steel I-beam galvanized. So it's an I shape, not a square. And so that helps it go into the earth relatively frictionless relative to like a square. And the soil around does sense vibration, but that doesn't go out beyond a certain number of feet from the impact point.
Thank you. I don't know how to put this question. The well, I'm concerned about chemicals leaking.
Well,
in.
don't tell them what you're concerned about. Just
Okay.
ask them a question.
Is there, according to the county ordinance, there's, yeah, I guess I'll turn it as evidence. I guess, would you be willing to work with the surrounding residents if there is issues with, according to the, if there's like interference with the television, that's within the ordinance, with the well,
Well, that's two questions. Just,
okay.
Yeah,
if I was him, I wouldn't know which question to answer first. So
So then the first question, let's go first question. My main concern actually would be the well.
okay.
Would I, in the ordinances, it says that,
don't tell them what the ordinance says. Just ask the question. I don't want to prevent you from asking questions, but don't preface it with stuff. Just ask them the question.
okay, I'm sorry.
I know. Asking questions is hard.
Right, it is. Will you, will you be willing to commit to testing the well water for chemicals related to the solar panels and the equipment that within the surrounding, say, 1,000 feet, whatever the JIS?
So yeah, well testing is not something we typically do. These projects.
Just answer the question.
Oh, okay. If it's a requirement by Lee County, we would follow it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Does would your contract with the landowner could you sublease it, or could it be like, say you found a mineral or something? I don't know if that's the same question, but
Yeah, mineral rights are not
Just,
entertained.
that's not a question. I'm sorry, we're not going to deteriorate here. He's going to ask a question, you're going to answer a question.
okay. Is mineral rights part of the agreement?
No.
Okay. Is like selling to other companies? I'm trying to think how to ask that question.
Does the I'll help you out. I'll just show you how it's done. And I know it's hard. Does your lease agreement with the landowner include a provision that the lessee you could be substituted for another lessee?
Yes.
I think let me see if there's any more. Oh, one last one. Well, no, you already said that you would agree with anything that Lee County, and is that throughout the whole agreement?
I don't even understand that question.
Okay.
Just ask a question.
Do you? Well, that one even. I don't even know how to I don't know how to phrase it without
Well, give me a hint and I'll try and help.
okay.
Talk to me, not to him, and I'll try and phrase a question for you.
In 36 years, if Lee County changes the amount of the bond for that they require, will you abide by?
Well, that's a question. In 36 years, if you know about the bond required by Lee County, would you abide by their new bond requirement?
Yes, please, thank you.
Yeah, my understanding is we would commit to the terms that are set forth in the approval of the ordinance at the time of the special use permit approval. I believe that's my understanding of how it works. But if those were to change, we would obviously abide any new regulations or requirements of the project. But my understanding is that the bond requirement set forth in the ordinance when the special use permit is approved is what we're committing to. That's my understanding.
Okay. I think that was
Okay. Any follow-up questions from anybody? Any follow-up from anybody's questions, Ms. Kennedy?
Just a few, Judge. Thank you. Mr. Houck, you were asked throughout the course of this hearing about the subscription process. Is there anything that you'd wish to clarify to the CBA?
Yes, I would. Last hearing, I was under the impression that Illinois is what's called a consolidated bill. We kind of talked about what this would look like from a ComEd customer's perspective who subscribes to the project. The new law, CJA, that was passed in September 2021, makes consolidated billing an option, but it is not required of the utility. And many of the utilities prefer to do unconsolidated billing, where you would get two bills. And I think there was a question specifically from Judge Slavin regarding that. And I just wanted to clarify it would be possible for the solar project to receive one bill from the utility and and one bill from the community solar project with a bill credit. So that was one point I wanted to clarify.
And then you had also, provided a site plan in the narrative that was submitted. Have you updated that site plan?
Yes, that's correct. There was a question regarding the red boundary and whether that was the project parcel. I went back to our team, and that boundary was what we had the project surveyed. It was a survey boundary for topography lines. The engineers, we removed that line and re-highlighted that red line as the project boundary parcel, which is that 112 acre boundary. And we'd like to resubmit that updated site plan as an exhibit.
I have no idea what you said. Keep your voice up, and would you say the last sentence, please?
We'd like to resubmit the new site plan with the project boundary the parcel boundary correctly identified.
Judge, I've marked this updated site plan as petitioner's exhibit 6. I'm going to go
Good.
ahead and hand
Okay.
that out.
Thanks.
And you?
Okay, so Mr. Howe, can you identify the parcel boundary?
Yeah, it is the red line going along Reynolds Road to the north and then straight down south of Mr. Aaron Baker's property on the east, and then going out to the west beyond the project, showing the 30-acre focus of our project development area within that parcel boundary.
You were also asked during our previous night of testimony about the CPI or the productivity index
Yes.
of the project parcel. Did you identify what that PI number was?
Yes, we repulled an NRCS soil survey and confirmed that the soils of this project parcel are identified as prime agricultural soils. And the production index was 138. And One Energy would commit to doing a LISA, which I think was also brought up in the last hearing with Lee County as a condition prior to pulling a building permit.
Okay, I have nothing further.
Well, I think given the substance, we better go around the horn again. Based on just those questions, Mr. Boonstra, Ross,
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Hinkle,
None, thank you.
Mr. Duffy,
Nothing.
board members, Mr. Forster,
Nothing.
Mr. Burrow,
Nothing.
Mr. Pratt.
The PI number you just stated, tell me again, was that the 30-acre project site or the 112-acre parcel site?
Yeah, the only data I could find for the PI was for the 112-acre parcel. I couldn't find PI specific to that 30-acre development area.
Okay, thank you. No other questions?
How about you, Mr. Hughes,
No questions.
Mr. Meyer?
No questions.
You now know in that review if this is, any of this project parcel is prime farmland, what's defined as prime farmland?
Good.
Is that a question to me?
You're the one that witnessed stand under oath.
The 112 acres, we have the NRCS. I brought a copy of the soil report. I believe 68% of it was, I don't have it in front of me, but
Okay. So you don't know the answer to the
I do
question?
not know the answer.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You may step down. Okay. Ms. Kennedy, any further witnesses?
No.
Okay, great. Witnesses, Mr. Boonstra? How about you, Ms. Henkel?
No.
You don't want to call her, so I got to call her. Ms. Duffy, would you like to testify? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, I'll get started. State your name and occupation, please.
Dee Duffy. I'm the Lee County Zoning Administrator.
And for how long have you been that?
I've been in this position for about 3 years now.
And as part of your duties as zoning administrator, do you keep records of zoning and planning matters, particularly such as relates to petitions for special use?
Yes, my office keeps all zoning and planning records.
In that capacity, did you receive and maintain a Lee County Soil and Water Conservation District Natural Resources Report for the parcel upon which the petitioner is proposing a special use?
Yes, actually, the natural resource report was completed on October 12th, 2018, and was submitted with One Energy's first petition, 18P 1537.
Do you have a copy of that in front?
This is the copy that was submitted in that report.
Do you have a copy in front of you?
Yes,
Would you mark that as zoning ZO, 1, I guess, if you haven't already? Thank you. Okay. You mentioned that it was dated somewhere in October 12th of 2018. Is that exactly 4 years ago? It is. Did you inquire of the Lee County Soil and Water Conservation District, anybody from the Lee County Soil and Water Conservation District, as to the validity of that report, which is 4 years old?
I did ask them, and they said that.
Okay, and with whom did you talk?
Brenda Merriman from the Soil and Water District.
And is he the boss or one of the
She
techs?
is.
She is? And what did she say about the report? That it's still valid?
It's still valid.
Okay. All right, next, am I correct that the petitioner provided you with a list of certified mailings of the notice of hearing it made?
Yes,
Did you review that list in your office to determine to make sure it conformed to the property owners within 1,000 feet of the nearest part of the proposed development's border?
yes,
And did it?
yes,
Do I understand that you hand posted notices of the impending hearing within the area of the purported development?
yes, I did.
When?
September 27th, I posted notice near the proposed project site.
Did you also post notice of the impending hearing on your office's web pages by including it on the agenda for Monday, October 3rd's ZBA meeting?
Yes, I did.
Now, did the October 3rd board ZBA meeting actually occur?
No,
Why not?
after questioning each member individually about their availability to attend the meeting, it appeared that there would be a lack of quorum.
So due to that lack of the quorum, is it correct that the meeting had to be continued?
Yes.
What date was decided?
After discussing the need to continue the meeting with zoning board chair Forrester, it was decided to continue the meeting to Thursday, October 6th at 7 p.m.
Then what steps did you take to give notice of that continuance to the public?
First, I prepared a legal notice and requested that the Shaw Media publish the same in the Dixon Telegraph.
Okay, did you make copies of that notice that you gave to Shaw Media?
Yes.
Would you mark that as ZO number 2 for me, please? Thank you. And to that notice, you have stapled a certificate of publication, is that correct?
Yes.
And a bill. And that comprises evidence, as far as you're concerned, that Shaw Media indeed published that notice, is that right?
Yes.
Did you post notices besides the Shaw Media publication, did you post notices in any public places with regard to the continuance to October 6th?
Yes, I requested on the October 3rd meeting agenda with the amended statement of continuance to be posted on the county's website. I posted the continued meeting agenda on the county board's bulletin board and taped the same to the inside of the public entrance to this building. And I also informed all the necessaries and petitioners via email and phone.
Okay, thank you. You said the county board, bulletin board, where's that?
Right outside the door here in the courtroom.
And the one you posted on the tape to the door, which door?
The 3rd Street entrance.
Is that the only public entrance?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Questions of this witness? Anything you want to add based on what I didn't ask you?
No.
Okay. Questions, Mr. Boonstra? Now's the time.
Let me get this mic now. No questions, thank you.
Ms. Henkel, now's the time.
None, thank you.
Ms. Kennedy?
No, thank you, Judge.
Mr. Forster?
No.
Mr. Burrow?
No.
Mr. Pratt?
No.
Mr. Hughes?
No.
Mr. Meyer?
No.
Interested parties? Anybody on Zoom? Jonathan? Mr. Baker, any questions? Thank you. God, we all passed on the opportunity. I mean, it's right there in your laps. Thank you. You may step down, Courtney. Courtney, I asked Courtney if she had any questions. She had no. I know she passed too. Got off easy. All right, Ms. Duffy, other than yourself, do you have any witnesses?
No.
Okay. Interested parties? Still nobody on Zoom, Jonathan? Mr. Baker, do you wish to testify? Is that a yes or a no? I can't.
I'm not sure. Does that mean I just answer questions or? do I
No,
give a statement?
means this is not speech time.
Okay.
When you testify, you're put under oath and you get on the witness stand and I'll help you get started, but you testify to facts. The light's red, the light's green. Opinions you save, what you think the board ought to do, you save for final public comments. So testifying is just as to facts. And I will be pretty firm about stopping if you just wander off into how you feel, or if something starts with I think, or it is my opinion, or you ought to, that's
Right.
argument.
That's all right. That's
Facts are the light's red, the light's green,
okay.
your choice.
I have one concern. Can I testify?
Well, it's not for the concern. If you want to testify about a fact, yeah, I mean, that's what it's for.
Okay. I think I'm understanding. Like if I have something to present.
And raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
My yes is my yes and my no.
Have a seat. And I'll help you get started. Even though we all in the room know, because there's very few of us in here, the record won't know, so state your name.
Aaron Baker.
And that's with double A, correct?
Yes.
And you previously told us, Mr. Baker, that you live adjacent to this proposed community solar development. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. You have indicated you have a concern. I'm trying to help you get started. What is your concern?
Well, one main concern is that that the taxes stated may not be going to where we think they're going.
And what would make you think that wouldn't happen?
I have proof from school audit that there's a account that never existed, 4220 at the AFC 275 school district. It was a school breakfast program, and AFC has never offered breakfast. And the account is for $112,707.
What school is this?
AFC,
What does ASC mean?
Ashton Franklin School District. I have 8 copies or 9 copies.
Okay.
Would you like me to
Yeah,
pass
you can
mine?
mark them IP. Let's see, you're now on IP number 2, I think.
IP number 2.
Thank you. You get one, do you? Callie, did you get one? One for the court reporter. I'll give him mine if he needs it. No, okay. Where did you get this document, Mr. Baker?
It's publicly available on the AFC website.
Okay. How does an unfunded breakfast account relate to the proposed One Energy community solar development?
Because the taxing for the schools, which is proposed, which I think is a good idea. I just, that taxing will go to the school. And there is no oversight.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I think that was.
Okay. Questions of this witness, Mr. Boonstra?
No, sir, thank you.
Ms. Duffy? Ms. Hinkle? Ms. Kennedy?
No, Judge.
ZBA members, Mr. Forrester?
No questions.
Mr. Burrow?
Yes. Mr. Baker, how long have you lived at this current location?
My son was 14, so about 13 years.
13 years? Okay. And how long have you been in this AFC school district altogether?
13 years.
Okay, okay. Fine, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Pratt?
No questions.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes, Mr. Baker, do you believe that the unused tax funds, have any impact on the One Solar project?
The unused tax funds. I do not know.
Would One Solar have any control over where those tax funds went?
I do not believe they would.
So then wouldn't this be a county issue and not a One Solar issue? Or One Energy, I'm sorry, I was misspeaking. It's One Energy, not One Solar.
Well, if we're introducing if we're introducing a large source of income without questioning it, then we're not doing our job. So I would say if there is a large source of income coming into the community, to the schools, and there's already a question out there by the public, not just, well, let me speak for myself. I do not know. Wait, let me rephrase that. I just want to make it on record that within the school district, that it actually could change the funding for the community and for the children in that community.
I'll rephrase my question then.
Okay.
If One Energy is paying the real estate taxes as they are billed per the kilowatt, and it goes to the county, does One Energy have any responsibility or any input in how the county divides that money up?
Probably, I honestly don't know. I don't think so. I'm not on the board on that.
And the representative from One Energy merely stated what the estimated taxes they would pay to the county were, correct?
According to what Illinois,
No, that wasn't his question. Listen to the question. He said,
I
the
don't,
representative from One Energy merely stated, based on kilowatt hours, what taxes they would pay to the county, correct?
oh, just now.
Or earlier in testimony, either way.
I don't remember.
I don't think he gave dollar amount. He was just stating,
That's a statement. Just asking.
yeah. Let's see if I can state it another way for you. While he might have said that the schools would benefit, he did not indicate specific dollar amounts or designations for those dollars other than that they would go to the county, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. No,
Okay. That's all my
Meyer?
questions.
No questions.
You may step down. Thank you. All right. I don't see any other interested parties that could possibly testify, and still nobody on Zoom there, Jonathan? Okay, we'll take a short break and take public comments, starting about 8 o'clock. Back out of recess. Time for closing arguments, public comments, whatever you care to call it, the opportunity to sum up the evidence and tell this fine-looking ZBA what you think they ought to do. You get the first opportunity, Ms. Kennedy, and you may.
Thank you, Judge. And real quick, as a housekeeping matter, I'd like to admit all the exhibits into the record if I didn't do so already.
I'm so out of practice that I always forget. Thank you. All petitioners' exhibits are admitted, all zoning officer exhibits are admitted, and both interested parties' exhibits are admitted.
Thank you. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everybody for your participation in this hearing process. On behalf of the applicant, we really appreciate your time and energy devoted to this. As I noted in my opening statement, I know that this is not your first time going through this sort of process, and so I'd like to briefly touch on each one of the factors for the issuance of a special use permit under the ordinance and discuss what testimony or evidence was introduced that speaks to each one of those factors. So under Title 10, Chapter 2, the Zoning Board of Appeals shall hear evidence relating to, and the first factor would be the effect of such proposed special use upon the character of the neighborhood. Here we had Mr. Hauk's testimony that the surrounding land is agricultural, that this proposed use is an acceptable ag use under the ordinance regulating solar energy systems. The second factor would be the effect on the surrounding properties. Again, through Mr. Hauk's testimony, he does not believe there to be any negative effect to the surrounding properties. He stated that there's no peer-reviewed articles relating to negative impacts on land values. And rather, through his testimony, he testified that the surrounding properties actually stand to benefit through providing them with the opportunity to subscribe to this community solar project. The third factor relates to traffic conditions. Mr. Hauk testified that traffic conditions may increase during construction. However, this is only temporary, and actually traffic conditions may decrease once construction of the project is completed. The fourth factor relates to public utility facilities. Here, the project does not require any new infrastructure, but rather would work with ComEd or another provider to provide those services and credits to the utility bills. The fifth factor relates to environmental concerns. Here we had testimony surrounding the EcoCat consultation. Though the report submitted in the project narrative has expired, the applicant has committed to updating that EcoCat report and providing a copy of same to the zoning administrator prior to the issuance or application for the building permit. I'd also like to note that EcoCat submitted showed that there were no threatened or endangered species in the development area. And as such, the consultation with the IDNR was terminated. The sixth factor under the Lee County ordinance relates to the compliance with the rules, regulations, and standards as set forth in the ordinance. Here you've heard testimony that the applicant intends to comply with all applicable rules, regulations, and standards. We also went through an in-depth view of how the project as proposed conforms to each of the requirements of the solar ordinance. There are two additional factors, what I would term LaSalle factors, that the Zoning Board of Appeals may consider or must consider, This relates to matters pertaining to the public health, safety, or general welfare. Again, we had ample testimony as to the various benefits that this project will provide. That includes the direct payments to the participating landowner, the taxes that will be generated. I believe the number quoted by Mr. Hauk in his testimony was $750,000 over the life of the project. The opportunity for those in close proximity to this project to subscribe and receive utility savings, and then what I would term ancillary benefits, that would be the local economy stimulus that would generate from the siting of this project. The last factor would be the care with which the community has planned its land use development. Here I would point to the county's comprehensive plan and the fact that the county has an ordinance regulating solar energy systems in place. This obviously would fit within both the comprehensive plan and that ordinance. As such, it is our hope that you will conclude that this project conforms to the solar ordinance and meets each of the requirements for the issuance of a special use permit, and that you will ultimately recommend this project to the county board. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Interested parties, closing comments, and obviously the only interested, still nobody on Zoom. Mr. Jonathan, okay. Any closing comments? Go ahead.
Did I say my name again?
No.
Okay.
We know where you are now.
Okay. I just want to say that this has been a long process for all of the landowners and Energy One or renewables, and I remember working with Mike, and there was they always seemed to want to work with the landowners and those around them. And out of all of the solar that I've checked out, I honestly believe that they're the best ones that I've seen. They're environmentally conscious from what it looks like, and from what I've talked to others, and the concern I had 6 years ago was the way the snow blowing on my driveway, and but they stated there won't be any concerns for that. So I have to, in good faith, believe that. And I think they would bring money to the county. I do think they would be a benefit if there was any way, and I'm sure talking to them, they would even do it. But if there is any way to try to get even the local, they stated they would, and I believe them. So all I can do is hope. So my hope is that, that I may not be here in 36 years. I don't know. I mean, he might
Careful,
be.
there's probably only one person in the room that will be. Careful.
I mean, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? That 36 years, I remember a lot has changed.
Now
in-
maybe two.
a lot has changed in 36 years. So my hope is that the board will take that in consideration, and that Energy would, and that, that we can all work together as one. So that's, my hope. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. All right, gentlemen, ladies too, but gentlemen particularly. The next step, as you know, is findings of fact and recommendations. I need time to put together some possibilities for you. I would like to see if we can get that underway and hopefully done on October 24th. You gents previously gave me the okay for that day, but I'm going to go through it again just to make sure. So that is a Monday, October 24th. It would avoid, if we could all get it done, we would avoid two very important days. The next date would be Mr. Meyer's birthday. And the day after that's Halloween. So if we can get all done in one night, Halloween, Rex Meyer's birthday, same thing. So still good for the 24th. Mr. Forster?
Yes.
Mr. Burrow?
Yes.
Mr. Pratt?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Almost birthday boy?
Yes.
Okay, recess until the 24th. Now, will that be, off the record, will that be when the time changes? You seem to know this stuff. No, it's not till November.
It'll be 7.
That'll still be 7 o'clock.
Okay. November 20, or I'm sorry,